Imagine, if you will, the legendary nature spirit known to history as the king of the forest, or Leshy, a majestic being who rules as king over the deep woodlands that are hidden away in the darkest and most unexplored corners of the world. Surrounding this majestic monarch are his loyal nature spirit servants, like the dryad-like fairies that flit from tree to tree, their laughter echoing like chimes in the wind, or the Vodyanoy or the Rusalka, spirits of the lakes and rivers, who dwell in their underwater mansions, weaving spells of eternal life and beauty. This enchanted cast of characters might seem like a fairy tale, and yet, if you explore the true historical past of many mystical woods, you'll find reason to believe that such a forest king of the supernatural realm does, in fact, reign. Thousands of years of folklore seem to confirm it, and centuries of worship seem to guarantee these spiritual powers have been imprinted deeply on the landscape. One example is the ancient mystical mountain of Ślęza in modern-day Poland. Let's learn about the forest king thought to dwell there and how he came to rule. For much of its history, this mountain was occupied by Slavic tribes who believed in the Leshy or forest king. This ancient spirit was thought to govern all flora and fauna within his domain, wielding immense power over the natural world. Both human-like and otherworldly, he usually appeared as an old man, his skin blue and as rough as the bark on trees. Covered in a long, shaggy coat of green hair, the Leshy's eyes were pale green and protruding, adding to his frightening appearance. The Leshy's ability to shapeshift, however, was legendary, and he could transform into any animal of the forest. Mount Ślęza has many ancient carvings, often of bears, which seem to represent the Leshy and his love of transforming into them. He could also shrink to the height of a blade of grass or grow to tower over the tallest trees. To gain his favor, people would leave him respectful little offerings, especially eggs and pancakes. Who could guess that the Slavic forest king, nature spirit, would be a fan of the typical American breakfast? All he lacks really is the bacon and a cup of coffee, but regardless, an egg and a pancake would earn his blessings. Particularly active in the spring, having hibernated or taken a winter holiday with his wife called the Leshychicha and their children, the Leshy would return, however, in the spring with a vengeance, often gleefully victimizing any human in the forest by leading them astray, especially those who dared to venture too deeply into his domain without showing the proper respect. A popular story tells of a peasant who made a pact with a Leshy, who was disguised to him as a traveler. This deal ensured that the peasant's cattle would always be safe and well fed, without any need for his supervision. However, when curiosity got the better of him, and he followed his cattle one day, he discovered an old crone, who was revealed to be the Leshy's servant, watching over them. His intrusion broke the spell, however, and from that day on, he had to tend his own cattle as before. This tale drives home perhaps the fact that it's not always worth bargaining with a Leshy, but it's possible if you're willing to mind your own business. It is said, though, that centuries of worship and belief by the local people who lived in a place for many generations leaves a deep spiritual impression on a place, not only summoning that creature to come and reside in that place through spiritual portals, but also to cement their presence there, rendering it more and more material and actual and purely physical in its manifestation through centuries of offerings and sacrifices and intense shamanic trances by generations of nature-worshipping priests. And so, the regal and royal Leshy came to sit upon the throne of Mount Ślęza due to the many centuries of Slavic worship and belief in him, which happened in this ancient mountain. But even more so, he is sure to be present when you add to this the fact that the ancient Celts, who were the second major peoples to live on Mount Ślęza during its long, mysterious history, worshipped an almost identical king of the forest, which they called by a different name, Cernunnos. He was said to watch over the mountain, depicted with antlers that resemble the branches of trees. Cernunnos is associated with fertility, animals, and the wild. He embodies the spirit of the forest and is seen as the keeper of all life dwelling there. Like the Leshy, he was associated with the bear, and the many famous bear carvings there, in fact, were mostly made by the Celts. Imagine the same type of forest king, a protector, and associated with the bear, worshipped by two vastly different peoples on the same mountain for thousands of years. Could it be a coincidence? Or is it because both peoples encountered the very same and very real entity of the woodlands who ruled as a forest king on that mountain, each giving him a different name? Either way, it can't be denied millennia of belief, worship, offerings, sacrifices, and priestly and shamanic interaction will have its effect on a place. Surely, after all that, the forest king is present there on Schlenza. But this king doesn't rule alone. He could command any bear, wolf, or deer of the forest. It's true, and naturally as king, he held sway over all the birds of the air and the fish of the waters. A formidable army already, to be sure, to level against any traveler foolish enough to disrespect the forest. But this noble monarch had even more formidable creatures at his command. More mysterious, more powerful, infinitely more deadly. Like the famous water spirits of Slavic lore. The frog-like male spirit who ruled all the waters, known as the Vodyanoy, and his bevy of irresistibly attractive water maidens, known as the Rusalkas. Known as the chief of water spirits, he is second in authority only to the more powerful king of the forest, the Leshy. He is like a senior duke under the king. The king could send his dukes after you, of course it's true, as they respect his authority and always obey him. But even the duke himself also has power. So it was important to respect the Vodyanoy too, by respecting the waters. He is often depicted as a round, jolly man with a long beard and tangled green hair. However, the seemingly friendly and harmless form masks his true nature. In reality, he is a grotesque, green-skinned entity, covered in weeds, slime, and warts, reflecting the dark and hidden dangers of the waters he commands. His ability to shapeshift as well allows him to take on various forms, from a simple, benign log floating on the water to a beautiful maiden, making him a cunning and deceptive force. He resides in an underwater home with his family, where he governs over all the water creatures, governing even over the enchanting Rusalka maidens. These ethereal water nymphs would often emerge to comb their flowing green or golden hair while gazing at their captivating reflections. These nymphs are the spirits of drowned girls, and their demeanor reflect their origin. Some are benevolent and beautiful, while others are cruel and ugly, especially in the colder northern regions. On moonlit nights, Rusalkas gather to dance and sing by the water's edge, weaving garlands of flowers. Although they can't survive long outside the water, these magical combs grant them the ability to conjure water wherever they go if they need it. They can transform as well into animals such as fish or toads, but they are restricted only to aquatic animals. While Rusalki can be enchanting, their allure often makes a sinister purpose. They are known to lure humans, especially men, into their watery realms. By calling out the names of young men wandering into the forest, they draw them into their powers with their seductive appearance, either to join in their dances or to meet a watery end at the bottom of their lakes or rivers. Those who resist their charms are usually relentlessly teased and tickled until they collapse from exhaustion, making them easy prey for the Rusalkas to then drag them into the depths. Deeply pushed into the very earth of Mount Schlenza from centuries of worship, so the Forest King and the Water King have been permanently placed into the very flesh and blood of the forest there. But the Celts also lived there for centuries and practiced their famous religion of fairy folk. And so, it could be said that fairies live alongside the Slavic nature spirits in a strange and hair-raising kind of cultural fusion. In Celtic folklore, fairies are believed to dwell within sacred trees such as the oak or the ash or the hawthorn, each holding a special connection to their hidden fairy world. Travelers venturing into the forests where these trees and creatures are present should take great care to show respect and caution. Damaging an oak, ash, or hawthorn tree is believed to bring bad luck as it disrupts the fairies' homes. Again, with the centuries of Celtic belief, worship, offerings, and interactions with the fairies by the druidic priests are sure to have secured for them a permanent home in Slęża, ensuring that they are out there together with the king and the duke of the woods. And so, not only must you be mindful of the king if you ever find yourself on Slęża, but of the waters, the trees, the animals, heck, everything you encounter while you're up there in the densely wooded mountains in the enchanted hallowed hilltop. For not only could you offend an individual fairy by snapping off a hawthorn twig, or tread on the toes of a vodyanoi while wading across the crystal clear mountain stream, but you could also well find yourself whistling just a little too loudly one awe-inspiring sunny day as you saunter across Mount Slęża, unknowingly annoying the ancient ears of a forest king, still very much alive by 1,000 years of human belief, offerings, and sacrifice. And so finding yourself with the whole throng of nature spirits sent after you, and all birds and beasts that are at his command to boot. Better perfect those pancake flipping skills, my friends, and master your turn of a spatula to produce the most flawless of poached eggs before you dare set a foot on Mount Slęża, as you never know when you might need a fluffy, syrup-drenched peace offering up there.
As the hound dog entered the dimly lit library, he sensed an aura of mystery surrounding the ancient scrolls. The dusty shelves towered above him as he sniffed his way through the labyrinth of books. Suddenly, he picked up a scent and followed it to a secluded corner. With bated breath, he approached the shelf and pawed at the book, revealing the hidden scroll. As he rolled it out, he knew he had discovered a treasure worth protecting at all costs.